Hello and welcome back to day 9 of our 30-day accelerator. Now, today is the last day that we're going to be spending on building out your product. And what we're going to focus on is the front end, or the student view of how your product looks when a student logs in to access it. Now, there's obviously loads more that we could do on the product front, and I have heaps of extended, in-depth training on all the wonderful things you can do. So if you'd like to go deeper on this stuff, you can. But inside of this 30-day accelerator, I really want to just give you as much as you actually need to get your course up and running, because there's always going to be something more that you could do. And, it's easy to just get stuck or snowed under all the things, and then your course never gets launched because you think there's all this stuff that needs to happen, and really just doing the bare minimum on putting together your course, as long as the content is good, but putting together the bare minimum as far as branding and all those other bits and pieces goes, is going to be enough to get you a few runs on the board, and you can always come back later and iterate and improve on your program then. So let me share my screen and we will dive into the front end branding of your product. All right, so here we are back inside of my demo account, and we're in that product, that first course that I've been working on. So we worked on the outline, the structure of the course. We put together our modules, our sub-modules. We looked at uploading our content in bulk. Yesterday, we talked about dripping or locking content, and we've also designed thumbnails or little images that go with each of our modules and our lessons, okay, so that it looks a little bit interesting from the front end. Now what I want to do is I want to take us into this Customize tab. Okay, so if you click on there, it's going to open up like this. And this is where you decide what kind of product theme you're going to use on your program. Okay, now the default one in most cases is going to be this Premier product theme, which has been around for forever, but it's very versatile. I like working with it. We're going to work with it today. But if you want to try one of the other themes in the library, just click here to install template, and you'll see a few options. Now, the three that I would have a bit of a play with is this one here, Gamify Lite. So if you are interested in the concept of gamification where students can work through the program, it's still based on the Premier product theme that we're working on today, but it just has a few extra features of things like, people being able to collect badges as they pass certain lessons and modules. So that's an interesting one to keep your students engaged. Momentum is very popular. Momentum it feels to me a bit more like a resource library rather than a course. You have this contents or sidebar, that's got all of the lessons and the modules listed out, and great for something like a membership where people don't need to work through it from A to Z. They can just come into this product, have a look in the sidebar, and go and dig into the particular resource that they are looking for. Now, based on that Momentum layout, there's also a Gamify Lite version of that as well. So if you prefer this style, but you want to add the badges, okay, and have a bit of fun with your students, then have a look at this one. And then down here, lovely Penny, lovely Australian designer of Kajabi product themes. She's got this new one called Sunset, which gives your product a bit of a, it looks and feels a little bit more like a blog, which is quite interesting. It's very pretty, it's very popular. So I would have a play with each of those. Think of these product themes as outfits. Okay, you can try on any of them, and it's not going to in any way edit, delete, cause you any rework for what you've created in the back end. Okay, all of your content is still there, your thumbnails are still there, and then what you can do is you can try on these different looks for your content. And if you try it on and you think, maybe you play around with it for 5 to 10 minutes and you think, no, it's not quite right, you can come back to here and you can try on something else. Okay, so it's not going to cause you any rework. Now, if you happen to have purchased a custom product theme from somebody like Penny or Bastian, who does the gamification themes at Jiffy Courses Online, so if you've purchased an upgraded custom product theme, it will come to you as a zip file, and you would just upload it into this zip file or upload template area, the same way that we uploaded our pages earlier in the week. All right, but the one that we are going to work with today is the trusty old Premier product theme. So I'm going to jump out of here. It's already here as the default. So from here, all you need to do is click into it. And just like that. So we're going to click on Customize, and it's going to open up like this for us. All right, so we're going to click here where it says customize, and it's going to bring us through to this area. Now we can see at this point, we've got this sort of block color in the background and that primary button color. Those things came through from that very first day when we generated the product, and Kajabi asked us, what do you want to be the primary color and the accent color? Now you can change it if you want to. I would probably change mine because I went away and I created the thumbnails, and we ended up going for this sort of blue purple type software combination. So I would be looking to now change my colors so that it ties in with my thumbnail design. Now this background color here, you can actually swap it out for an image if you would prefer to do that, and that is what we are going to do. Now you'll see over here in the sidebar that it lands on the sections tab. These are all the sections where you might want to do some customization at the product level. Now there are two main levels that you'll need to customize. You need to customize the product level that students are going to see when they first log in. It's almost like the dashboard of the course. And then after you've finished doing your customization there, you need to switch it from product to post, and we'll customize what a lesson looks like if a student clicks through to a lesson. All right, so both of those we're going to have a look at. Now, before we dig into these sections over here on the left, I would encourage you to go into the site settings and just adjust a couple of things. Now, the first thing you might want to adjust is the typography. If the default Open Sans and Montserrat, if you're using a different font combination on your website, then I would put those fonts in here. Yeah, pop out of here. All right, then we have got color scheme. What do you want to be the primary or the accent color that gets used throughout this product? And if you want to change it to something else, you can. I might change mine. Let me just have a look here. See if I can change it to a yellow. Like this. All right, well, bear with me while that saves. Now, if I want to actually change the color that's showing right here, or the background color, you'd think that you would change it here inside of the color scheme, but we're actually going to change it inside of the section. And let's just see that yellow that I put in. Has it taken effect on anything here? Oh, a couple of things like just this. Well, it's a little bit faint. No, okay, yellow was a bad idea for a primary color. Let's go for something a little bit darker that will be easy for people to see. Let's go with purple. And I'm going to stick with like a purpley blue type theme for my brand of this product. And it doesn't have to completely match your website, guys. If you are planning to do several courses, each course could take on like quite a different look. You're probably going to want to tie in some key brand elements like your fonts, but you can go a different style of thumbnail for every product that you're putting together. So don't be afraid to get a little bit creative and go a little bit crazy with how your products look. If you can come up with some kind of undercurrent or like undertone that just pulls it all together, that would be wonderful. Now I put in a primary color as the purple, and I'm going to go with like a navy, I think, for the darker color. So we love that. All right, so we've put in our color scheme, which is going to take effect in certain places. Here we have to update it manually, which we will do. Now, the other thing here that I would encourage you to look at is the general appearance. So if you click into the general appearance area, you can see that the background is gray. And by background, I mean like down here, it's like this boring gray color. It is a little bit of contrast to this white container, and contrast is good, but you might not want to go with boring gray. Now I have got a light purple in this palette that I'm working with that I think would work quite nicely. So if I put this light purple in like that, and let's just have a look at what happens. Okay, so perhaps like a little bit too purple. If I could take the transparency all the way down a little bit, let's see how that looks. Oh, that's not going to work at all. Okay, hang on. I need something that is like a little bit lighter. Hang on one second. See if that will work for me. It's a little bit difficult to know how it's going to look when we've got this big block of green above it. But just imagine that that's not there. Okay, so we're going with the light purple and those navy style thumbnails. So I think that is looking a lot better. And then we're going to customize the color of the footer bar, and we're going to swap out that green. Now, if you wanted to, you could use a background image here in place of a color. So you would check this box. You would upload something like a pattern, works quite well if you upload a pattern into here, and then just make sure that you change the background color to transparent so that we can actually see the image, because the color sits over the top of the image. And if you have a block color there and an image uploaded, we're not going to see the image. So take that one back to transparent if you do want to put an image there instead. And that looks really good in lots of cases. Now we're not going to use an image in this case. All right, so where I'm going to take us next is back up into that hero section. So this green, let's deal with that next. So into the sections tab, into the hero section, and you can see there that you've got an option to upload a background image. Now I've actually already done that just to save us a little bit of time, but you can't see it because the overlay color is still set. Now this image, I created it in Canva. I've given you guys the template if it's useful to you. And over here, you'll see that I've left quite a lot of space at the top and at the bottom because this image is not going to show in full when we put it into Kajabi. And the amount of the image that's going to show is dependent on how much you write in the middle or how many elements you add on top of this background banner image. And the image is not going to show what's on the sides on mobile view, okay? On mobile view, it's going to chop the edges off. So when you are designing a product banner, don't put anything that's really important for people to see in these side sections, okay? Just a couple of images that tie in with the thumbnails is great. Or you could just go for a background pattern would also be fantastic. Now, once you've got it, I have uploaded it into here. Now, in order for me to see it, I am going to have to take this back down to transparent, so that we can see the image. Right, so now we've got the image there. We can't see the text because the text is currently set to white. So we're going to go in here and I'm going to make the text, I'll just go with the dark purple that I used before. Right, now you can see that the description that's showing here, which is the description that we put into the back end of the product, I'll just show you, back over here, we put it into the site settings. So that's pulling through into the front view of here. And it displays quite wide, okay? It's overlapping my images, which doesn't look great. And I don't really need this description to show in the banner. So if I click into this hero section, down here at the bottom, it says, okay, well, what do you want to show on top of this banner image? And this section here is referring to the product info. And then we've got the start button. So if somebody clicks this, it's going to take them into the first lesson of the first module to start the program. Now I'm going to leave the start button there for now, but if I click into the product info, if I was to just uncheck the description, okay, now all I get is just the name of the program and the button to start. Like that would be fine. But let's go and have a look at how it would look on mobile. And oops, click here. Okay, so we get the name and the button, okay, but it's pretty much chopped the images off, okay, which is what I was referring to before. Okay, but that is that top hero section, and I would encourage you to put an image there, you know, do something interesting. Now, if we go back over here, this header bar section is referring to this bit up here. Now, do you want your main menu, like your main website menu, to display to students when they're in the course? You might not. If that's the case, we can click into this header section. You don't even have to show the header if you don't want to. You could have it like this. But if you are going to have a header bar, the logo, starting with the logo, if somebody clicks on it, do you want it to take them to the website home or just back to this product dashboard area? Probably the latter. So I would switch it here to product home. Now, if we come down here a little bit, we get to the menu section. Which menu do you want to show in the header bar? Do you want the main menu to show with things like your about page and your shop page and your blog and all that stuff? Probably not. Now, you could take the menu out altogether if you wanted to, Or you could leave the menu showing, but you could actually go click this button. It's quite self-explanatory, but you could click that button and we can dive into it maybe towards the end of our 30 days if we have any days spare. But if you click here, it'll go over to the navigation area of your Kajabi account. And you could, if you wanted to, create a menu that is specific to this course. And you could have it linked to things like the call calendar or a particular lesson inside of the program. Or, what else might you want to have there? Somewhere for them to submit their homework. Or if you've got a Facebook group, like you could have all your links that are specific to the course listed along the top of this product rather than the main menu of your site. Okay, so click that hyperlink if you dare and go and have a bit of a play with that. All right, then we get down here, we've got the search text. Okay, so that's just this bit here. And then the user menu is where you see that little avatar over here, the sort of grayed out head. If a student was to log in and they have uploaded, an image, a photo to their site settings, to their profile area, then their actual image is going to show there. It won't be this grayed out, boring photo. And then we come down here, and then do you want to have an announcement bar showing at the top of your product? So if we do, we could check that on. You can see it's put in that green color again. I'm going to go with my purple. This. Okay, and you could decide what you want to be sort of announcing to your students when they log in. So maybe it's something like, don't forget this week's Zoom call, or submit your homework, or deadline for XYZ is whatever. So write something in the announcement bar and then decide if a student was to click it, where would it take them? Do you want it to take them to a URL like a Facebook group? Do you want it to go to a specific landing page? Do you want it to download a file? Grab your workbook here, for example. And then if they do click it, do you want it to open up in a new tab? A lot of times you will when you're putting together a product, because you don't want them to click here. For example, if it says Facebook group, you wouldn't want them to click there and it takes them out of the product over to the Facebook group. The preference would be that they stay in the course product, but then the Facebook group opens as another tab at the top of their browser. So if you want that to happen, check that box so that it opens in a new window. So you can come up with a whole lot of things that you can put into that announcement tab. Okay, and then if you wanted to, you can also add a call to action, like book a call or whatever it is here. And if you do add a call to action, it's just going to pop up there in the header bar. Now I'm going to take that one out for the time being. All right, so that is the header and then also the hero. Now the welcome body by default is switched off. If you want to show like a little welcome video or something to students when they just log in, you could check this box. And then you can wait for half an hour. Oh, there we go. All right, so you can see there it's brought through just the title and the description, like the product info again. And it has added a video block, but we're not seeing that here because there's no video uploaded. If I was to click into that video block that they have given us, one of the first things I'd do is swap this player color to one of your brand colors. Just use the purple, seeing as I've already got it copied to my clipboard. Okay, and then I've probably got a video that would work. Let's put that one in. Okay, so we've got the video there, but we've got this very boring gray image over the top because there is no thumbnail. Now I would encourage you to put a thumbnail so it doesn't look like that. And I've probably got one in recent that I can pick from. It's going to go, if I can find it, I'll go with the main image that represents my program. There it is. If at any point, guys, that it is taking like ages to download, then all I would do is upload it again into this block. Okay, sometimes it's much quicker to upload again than it is to pull it from your recent images. So if you feel like it's just stuck, just go and grab it again and re-upload it, won't hurt. Okay, so we've now got the thumbnail there with the videos sitting behind it, which would be a welcome video. Perhaps you're telling them like how to navigate their way through the program. And then here we can decide, do you want the product info to show underneath? Now, I removed it from up here I might decide to keep it here, or perhaps I remove the product info block altogether. And under this welcome video, perhaps I add content and I go with just a chunk of text where I could just write, whatever I like. I could put hyperlinks to the calendar or the Facebook group or, whatever you want to put in there. And if we click back, okay, you could, if you didn't want to show the start button up here, you could remove it from there and you could add it in down here instead. This. If you do have a workbook that you would like students to download, you could put a workbook in. So that would be a call to action rather than a start button. And you probably want it to look a little bit different. So maybe if we go outline for contrast, and it would say something like, oops, download your workbook. And then here you would choose download a file and you just upload it into that spot. And again, I'd have it open in a new window if they do click to download it. And over here, you can see in this sidebar, we've got the progress showing, like how far are they through the course. If you would prefer not to have it showing over here, we could remove it from there. And you could, if you wanted to, add the progress, the student progress, into this welcome section. And if you wanted to, you could also drag and drop things around. Okay, you can change the order that the blocks are in. Okay, so you can have lots of fun with this. One thing to note though is that this welcome body and also the sidebar doesn't show in the Kajabi app. So if somebody's accessing it on mobile through the app, they're not going to see these sections. So I wouldn't put anything here that's like critical for people to see if you think that they are accessing via the app. I think of the app as more of like a podcast with videos, like they get all of the content, the training content, but it's more like listening to it on the run rather than sitting down at desktop and actually working through like all the content in detail. So have a think, are your people, depending on your topic, like for Kajabi, most people are going to be watching my training on desktop. So have a think about your course and whether or not they're going to be watching it on a mobile device or if they'll be watching it on a computer. But yes, it doesn't show on the mobile app. So we can play around with this. It's all looking pretty good, I think. And then we come down here. Okay, product syllabus. Now, at the moment, if I click into there, you can see that the default is to show everything at post level. Now, if you've got quite a long course, this is going to get quite long and you'll probably have like a pagination style effect at the bottom where people have to like click over to page 2. So if you do have a really long course, I'd probably have it display at category level instead, okay, like this. And then it'll all stay on that first page and people can click into it and expand the module and then they'll see all of the lessons on the next screen. All right, now community widget, we can't demonstrate that one just here, but if you had a second product created in your Kajabi account, a community product, what you could do with the community widget is you could actually bring a circle or like a forum through to this product so that people can engage with the community right here without having to click over into the community product. Okay, so if you are planning to use Kajabi's community feature and you've created a community product and there'll be circles inside of that product for various discussions, you can add that circle over here. We haven't created it, so it's difficult to explain that one. I think we'll have to come back and do a separate video on that another day. But if you've got any questions on that, please let me know. Okay, and then we have got the product sidebar over here where we've got the course progress showing. Now, if you do want to leave the course progress there, if you've used that thumbnail image here, you probably don't want to repeat it there. So in the course progress, you can switch off the image so that it's just the progress bar or leave it switched on. And then you can add extra content into that sidebar. So if we add content, maybe you want to add an instructor block through like this, okay, where you would have your headshot and your name and your title and a little bit about you. And if I just check here, And you can see that it has pulled through this information because I checked that little new checkbox here, link to instructor bio site settings. It's actually pulled that information through from my site settings. So back here in settings, we went into site details. There's a spot there to put your instructor information. And if you do that, you'll be able to just check this box. It's going to pull it through. And that way, every time that you create a course, you don't have to start from scratch filling out this information. Now, if you've got multiple people coaching inside of a product, you could add multiple instructor blocks. And perhaps for the second one, you don't want to pull the information through from site settings because this is going to be a different person. Okay, so you could write something different about the second coach inside of this course. So instructor blocks you can add to the sidebar. If we add content, you could add images there. If you've got a follow-on course that you want to sell, you could cross-sell to that and it will take people through to an offer. You could add a custom block. If you go with a custom block, you can see it down here. You can put an image and a blurb and the call to action. Rather than having it just go straight to checkout, you could use the call to action to go to a sales page for something that you're promoting here. You could also use this to encourage people to go over and join your Facebook group. There's lots of fun stuff that you can do with the sidebar, and you can quite easily make this Premiere product look very interesting. Now, one thing that a lot of people do forget is this footer section. They're down here. So just down here, this final section, I would definitely encourage you to firstly update the copyright to your own business name. Oops, what is my business name? Sassy Coach. And if you want the logo to show again, and then down here, if you want social icons there, make sure you're not promoting Kajabi's Facebook and Instagram. Put your own social channels in there. And somewhere I lost it. Here, section appearance, the background color. Put one of your brand colors in there as well. Okay, so now it is all looking pretty good. If you want it to be more of like a vertical style, you could have it like that. And I don't think I forgot to tell you anything there. No, that will do us. I'm going to go back to inline. Like this. Okay. All right, so that is it for product level. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to switch over into the post level. Okay, once students are in here, oh, actually, sorry, guys, one more thing. This background color that we used, see if I can copy it. I'm also just going to put it into the header, just to tie this together into this header section. Don't have to have a plain white header. If we go down to section appearance, background color override, and I'll just put that same color in there. And perhaps, yeah, that'll work for now. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, maybe white was better, but for the time being, I'm just going to leave it like this. All right, so have a play with that, then hit save, and then we are going to go over to, let me highlighter keeps turning off, then we are going to jump into the post level. All right, so this is what it looks like once it loads in post level. Okay, so it's looking pretty good at this point. There's not a whole lot that you need to do. That background color comes through, the header branding comes through. If we come down here, your footer doesn't change. So it's just a few key elements within the actual lesson itself that you might want to update. So we can skip over header, skip search bar. When they're talking about breadcrumbs, they're referring to this string here. Now, if as a student, I was looking at this lesson and I wanted to get back to the main module, I could come up here and just click on the module and it would take me back to the parent module, or I could click on modules and it would take me back to module level, or I could click on Sassy Bucks and it would take me back to the main dashboard area. Now, with breadcrumbs, you can switch them off if you want to. If you prefer your students not to navigate that way, you could take them away. Just uncheck that. Oh, there we go, like this. Or if you do want to leave it switched on, you can go through and you can update the breadcrumb color. So we can have two colors here. You can have the breadcrumbs as one color, like this, and then you could have the active breadcrumb as something different. I'll just do this greeny color for contrast, okay, so that students can see where they're at. So that's the breadcrumbs. Then we have got the post player. So that's referring to this section here. Now the default is that it's going to show in line. We've got all your lessons in the sidebar here within this module, and they can also click through to the next module. Now, if you prefer that they don't see all the lessons inside of the module, you could have simple, which is just going to have the video, and then they would click next, and it's going to take them to the next video in the module rather than them sort of jumping around. And the alternative would be to set it as none, that removes all of this off the screen, okay, and then they can't see the video at all. Now, if you were going with just like a text-based course, you might decide to do that. But ours has videos, so I'm going to stick with inline. Now, the background color is referring to this dark side panel here, so you could change that if you wanted to. And then we come down into the actual lesson itself. So this is the post body area that we're referring to now. And you can see here, if I come down, this post info, if I click into that, the things that it's currently showing us here is the show description, the show title, and the category that it's in, okay, or the module. If you wanted to, you could uncheck some of these things, okay, if you prefer not to have all the information there. Go back. Right, but now you have the option, in addition to this information, okay, the text that goes with your lesson, you can add additional content into the post body if you want to. So if you wanted, right now, the default is that any downloads you've attached to the lesson are going to show up in the sidebar. What you could do is you could add in post downloads to this section. I'll just pop it in for you so you can see what I mean. Here, so that any downloads pop up as a button right here. Now, if you add it in there, what you could do if you wanted to is the post sidebar. You might decide to just not show the sidebar, in which case now your lesson's going to take up, like it has more real estate now. It's got all this area to work with and the post downloads showing there. So you can sort of move things around. You can either have them in the sidebar, you could add the instructor bio back in, you could have cross cells inside of the lesson, you could have images, and that's if the sidebar is switched on. Or if you prefer to switch it off and have your lesson take up the whole screen, basically, you could do that, but then you've removed this downloads feature. So you're going to have to add a downloads block back in to this post body section if you're going to do it that way. Now, something that we covered earlier in the accelerator was that comments are set, the ability for people to be able to comment on a lesson, that is set in that back end structure in here inside of the course outline, okay? In each individual lesson, you decide whether or not students are going to be able to comment on the lesson. Now, if you leave that function switched on, students will see a comments box like this. And if comments have been left, they're going to be able to read the comments of other students as well, okay? And they'll be able to reply. So that's the comments. Post sidebar I just talked about. You can have it switched on or switched off. You can add a little course completion message, and then you don't need to worry about updating the footer because that is coming through from the main product level. Okay, so get comfortable with this one, guys. And that is, let me stop my share. And that is, guys, everything that we are going to worry about as far as the product creation goes. You have more than enough there to put together an amazing course that you can go out there and sell, and then you can come back later and you can dig into all the little nuances and try all the different product themes, okay, and experiment with things over the coming months. But what we've covered over the last few days is enough. I do have additional training on this if you want to learn about setting up certificates for the end of the course, or if you want to set up quizzes to test the knowledge of your students. Go and have a look at my separate training on that. And if you've got any questions at all, please come back to me. Now what we're going to do or move into is putting together a sales page and the offer that's going to sell this program. So we will be back. I'll see you back for day 10.